Hi girlies! Welcome back to this sewing tutorial. Today we're making the bloom wrap. This is such a timeless and versatile blouse that little details give a touch of elegance, but at the same time is still feeling casual and effortless. The sleeves are wild and flowy, giving you that comfortable, relaxed fit. The bloom wrap is honestly one of those pieces you can dress up or down. It is perfect for work, school, or just a casual day out. This project is great if you're a beginner looking for a fun challenge, or if you're a more confident sewer waiting to add a staple piece to your handmade wardrobe. So, are you ready? Let's get started! For this project, you will need to download the bloom wrap pattern. You'll find the link in the description below. You'll also need the following materials. And if you want more details on the fabric recommendation, how to cut your pattern pieces, or extra sewing tip, make sure to check out the instruction manual that comes with your pattern. It's super helpful. Before printing the entire pattern, start by printing only the first page. Measure the test square to ensure your printer is printing at the correct scale. Then you can proceed to print the rest of the pattern. Start assembling the pattern row by row. Take page 1 and fold the right margin along the guideline. Then take page 2 and also fold the right margin. Repeat this process for each page in the row. The last page does not need to be folded. Next, take page 1 and place it on top of page 2, aligning the fold edge of page 1 with the left margin of page 2. Make sure the alignment circles and all the lines match up perfectly, then tape the page together. Continue attaching each page in the row this way until the entire row is complete. Repeat this process for each row of the pattern. Once all the rows are complete, take each row and trim or fold the bottom margin except the last row, which does not need to be trimmed or folded. Then, starting with the first and second rows, place the fold or the trimmed bottom edge of the first row on the top of the top edge of the second row. Carefully align the circle and lines, then tape the rows together. Repeat this step for all the rows until the full pattern is completely assembled. With your pattern fully assembled, refer to the size chart in the instruction manual to find your correct size. Then, cut along the corresponding lines on the pattern. To make it easier, you can highlight your size line before cutting. This will help you cut more precisely. For this project, I'm using a lightweight to medium weight cotton fabric. It has a little bit of stretch, which makes the wrap extra comfortable to wear while keeping a nice structure. Before cutting your fabric, make sure to place your pattern pieces on the right side of the fabric, not the wrong side. To help avoid mistakes, I recommend marking the wrong side of your fabric with your chalk. Here are all the pieces you're gonna need. First, the bloom wrap front, left side. Make sure this piece is cut on the right side of the fabric and that your fabric stretches horizontally, not vertically. If your fabric has straps or a line, make sure they run across vertically. And if your fabric looks very similar on both sides, just mark the wrong side with a chalk so you don't get confused later. On this piece, mark all your notches by making a tiny little snap with your scissors. Now, let's talk about the darts. To transfer them, start by cutting into the dark line on your paper pattern. This will give us small holes to work with. These marks are what allow the blouse to have that nice fitted shape around the body. Then take your fabric and flip it so the wrong side is facing you. Place your pattern back on top, perfectly aligned, and secure it in place. Through the opening of the dart, use a chalk or a fabric marker to mark the points. You can trust the full dart if you like, but I prefer to mark just the point and then connect them with a ruler afterward. Once that's done, connect your points into a diamond shape. Then draw one straight line from the very top point of the diamond down to the bottom point. This will be the sewing guide when it's time to close the dart. Repeat the same step for the second dart, which is shaped like a triangle. Perfect! Now your left front piece has 2 darts and all the notches marked. Next, you'll need the bloom right front, right side. Again, make sure your notches are marked and your darts are transferred on the wrong side of the fabric. For the back piece, it should be cut on the fold. Don't forget to transfer the dart on both sides, also on the wrong side of the fabric. Then we have the 2 sleeves. Make sure you have one left and one right sleeve. Mark your notches and remember the notches on each sleeve should mirror each other, not be identical. You'll also need the front facings, left and right sides. Be sure to mark the notches and cut them on the right side of the fabric. Then the back facing, which is also cut on the fold. For the collar, cut 2 pieces on the fold. And finally, you need 4 ties, 2 wide and 2 narrow. Now, let's start by sewing the darts on the front and back pieces. Take one piece at a time. On the wrong side where all your darts are, we're gonna use the middle long line as a guide. First, fold the dart in half along the line, just like I'm doing here, and press it with an iron to make sure the fold is nice and straight. This pressed crease divide the dart evenly in 2. Next, fold the dart again along the crease and secure it with pins. When pinning, place your piece flat, then insert your pin through both layers of fabric. I like to insert the pins from right to left. This makes them much easier to remove while sewing. Once your dart is pinned, double check from the other side that everything is aligned and looks good. Then repeat the same step for the second dart. Press and pin. Nice! Now your darts are closed and ready to sew. Repeat this process for the other front piece and for the back piece as well. Let's move to the sewing machine. Choose a thread that matches your fabric. I'm using black thread here so you can clearly see my stitches. Start sewing at the beginning of your dart line. Sew a back stitch to secure. Then continue sewing slowly, following the line all the way down to the tip of your dart. At the end, sew another backstitch to lock your stitches. Check that your stitching is straight and repeat the same step for all the darts on your bodice pieces. Once they're sewn, press them flat so they look neat and professional. For the center darts, press them towards the side of the piece. For the bust, press them downward towards the waist. Do the same on the other front piece. For the back darts, press them towards the opposite side. And that's it! Your darts are now sewn and pressed beautifully. Now let's sew the shoulders. Start by placing the back piece right side up in front of you. Take the right front piece, right side together, and align the shoulder seam with the back piece. Pin in place. Do the same with the left front and place it right side to right side with the back. Pin the both shoulder seam carefully. Once pinned, sew each shoulder seam with a 1 cm seam allowance. To prevent your fabric from fraying, you can finish the edge with a serger or a zigzag stitch. Finally, press the shoulder seam towards the back for a net professional finish. It's time to sew the ties. Let's start with the wide ones. Take one tie and fold it in half lengthwise, right sides together. Press the fold. At one end of the tie, open up and fold the raw edge inward by about 1 cm, then press again. After that, fold the tie back lengthwise and pin all the way along the edge. Now sew along the edge with a 1 cm seam allowance. Next, we're going to turn the tie right side out. To do this, attach a safety pin to one end of the tie then push it inside. Keep moving the safety pin through the tunnel, pulling the fabric gently as you go until the tie is completely turned. Press it flat to get a neat finish. To close the open end, sew across the edge as possible. And just like that, the wide ties are done. Now, let's make the narrow ties. Fold each tie in half lengthwise, right side together, just like we did with the wide ones. This time, to help us turn the tie, we are going to use a thin, sturdy cord. Place the cord inside the fold, pin it in place inside at the top of the tie, and make sure the rest of the cord is straight inside. Then pin the edge of the tie. Start by sewing along the top edge with the cord using a 1 cm seam allowance. Give a gentle pull on the cord that's sticking out just to make sure it's secure. Then trim off the excess cord. Sew along the long edge lengthwise, again with a 1 cm seam allowance. Make sure when you sew, you're not sewing the cord. Before turning, trim the seam allowance down to about 0.5 cm so the tie won't feel too bulky. Now, gently pull the cord while guiding the fabric inside out. The tie will flip through smoothly, just like I'm showing you here. Once it's fully turned, cut off the cord, press the tie flat, and that's it. Let's attach the ties to the blouse. Lay your blouse flat with the right sides facing you. We'll start with the right side of the blouse. Take one of the white ties and place it on the notch. Make sure the tie is pointing inward toward the inside of the blouse. Pin it in place. Next, take the second white tie and place it on the notch at the side of the left front piece, again with the tie pointing toward the inside of the blouse. Now, take one of the narrow tie and place it on the notches at the middle of the left front piece as well. Make sure it's also pointing towards the inside. Pin in place. Once all the ties are pinned, sew a stay stitch at 0.5 cm from the edge. This helps hold everything securely so the tie don't shift when you assemble the blouse. It's time to sew the collar. Take your two collar pieces and place them right sides together. Pin all around the edges, leaving the butter edge open. Sew along the pin edge with a 1 cm seam allowance. Next, we're going to trim the corner to make the turning easier. Cut across the seam allowance diagonally at each corner, getting close to the stitches, but be careful not to cut through them. Now we can turn the collar right side out. To get a nice shaped points at the corner, use a thin tool like a point turner or even a chopstick. Gently push the corner out, moving slowly so you don't poke a hole through the fabric. Once it's turned, give the collar a good press so it lays flat. to stabilize the color and give that crisp look, we're going to top stitch 0.5 cm from the edge all the way around. Quick tip: when you reach a corner, stop stitching about 0.5 cm before the end. Leave your needle in the fabric, lift your presser foot, pivot the fabric, then continue sewing. This will give you a clean, sharp angle. And that's it! Your collar is ready! With your collar finished, let's go back to the blouse. Place the collar along the neckline, matching the notches on the collar with the shoulder seams. Pin at both shoulders. Then, continue pinning all the way around the neckline until the collar is fully secured. Now, sew the collar in place with a 0.5 seam allowance. This is just a stage stitch, so the collar stays in position before we attach the facing. And just like that, your collar is now attached to the blouse. Let's move on to the facing. You'll need 3 pieces, the back facing and the 2 front facings. Start by opening the back facing with the right side of the fabric facing you. Take the piece labeled front facing right and place it at the shoulder, aligning the shoulder seams. Here, the round side of the front facing should be facing you. Pin in place. Repeat the same step with the front facing left, aligning it with the other shoulder and pinning. Now sew the shoulder seams together with a 1 cm seam allowance. Once done, press the seams towards the back facing. To give the facing a net finish, finish the outer edge with either an overlock or a zigzag stitch. Nice! Let's attach the facing to the blouse. Place the right front facing right side together with the right front of the blouse. Pin along the hem and then all the way up the front edge of the blouse. Don't forget, make sure the ties are tucked inside and lay flat so you don't accidentally stitch over them. At the back neckline, the collar will now be sandwiched between the facing and the blouse back. Align the shoulder seam with the facing with those of the blouse and pin the rest of the back facing in place. Then finish pinning along the left side until everything is secured. To sew the facing, start at the hem, sewing with a 1.5 cm seam allowance, making sure to backstitch at the beginning and the end. Repeat the same step on the other side. Then stitch the entire facing along the neckline and front edge with a 1 cm seam allowance. Now that your facing is sewn, you will notice at the collar that it feels thick. That is because there are 4 layers of fabric. So to reduce the bulk, trim the seam allowance by 0.5 cm. Be careful to not cut the second stitching. The first one is okay because it is your stay stitch. Before moving on, we are going to serge or zigzag stitch the hems of the blouse, both the front and the back pieces. Next, clip the corner of the facing at an angle so when you turn it, the corners will look nice and sharp. You can now turn the facing right side out and give everything a good press. Take your time pressing here. It makes a huge difference in the final look. For extra stability, top stitch close to the edge about 0.25 cm. Around the neckline, since it's thicker, sew the top stitching 0.5 cm from the edge instead. Make sure you're stitching through the facing and neckline, not the collar itself. When you reach the end of the collar, switch back to 0.25 cm from the edge. And there you go! Your blouse is looking clean and professional. Great job! The biggest part is now behind us. It's time to attach the sleeves. Lay your blouse flat and open so the armholes are facing you, with the right side of the fabric up. Take one sleeve, also with the right side facing you. Check your notches. The front of the sleeve have 1. The back of the sleeve have 2 notches. Place the sleeve right sides together with the blouse armhole. Align the notches. First, the single notch at the front, then the top notch at the shoulders. Make sure the seam is flat toward the back. And finally, the 2 notches at the back. Once everything is aligned, pin the sleeve to the armhole. Use a lot of pins. This will make sewing much easier later. Now you will notice something. The sleeve have a little extra fabric comparing to the armhole. Don't worry, that's normal. It's designed this way so the sleeve has a nice straight. Simply distribute the ease evenly as you pin, especially around the top of the sleeve cap. This is what a well-pinned armhole should look like, with the extra fabric spread evenly, not bunched up in one spot. Repeat the same process with the other sleeve. Now, sew the sleeve to the blouse using a 1 cm seam allowance. The key to a clean armhole is to take your time. Keep checking that the fabric lies flat and that the ease is well distributed as you sew. Well done! Finish the raw edge with a serger or a zigzag stitch to prevent fraying. Finally, press the seam flat and smooth. Almost done! Let's close up the blouse. Fold your blouse so the side seams are aligned with the right sides together. Make sure your ties are tucked inside so they don't accidentally get caught in the seam. Starting from the cuff of the sleeve, pin all the way down to the hem of the blouse. The seam of the armhole should be facing up as you pin. Always check that the notches are aligned for accuracy. Repeat the same process on the other side. Now sew along the pinned edge with a 1 cm seam allowance, from the sleeve cuff all the way down to the blouse hem in one continuous line. Finish the raw edges of the side seams and cuff with a serger or a zigzag stitch. Once that is done, turn the blouse right side out, press the side seam flat, and admired how clean it looks. Congratulations, girlie! We made it to the final steps. Let's finish the hems. Start by folding the hem of the blouse inward by 1.5 cm and pinning in place. Do the same for the sleeve cuffs. Fold them 1.5 cm and pinning. Press everything well. Now sew the hems from the right side of the fabric with 1 cm seam allowance. We're not done yet. It's time to attach the last tie on the inside at the right side of the blouse. Sew it securely into the seam allowance so it stays in place. To make sure the facing doesn't shift, you can add a few hand-sewn stay stitches. Take a single thread that matches your fabric, go through the blouse close to the facing, take a single thread of the fabric, then go through your facing with your needle and tie a small knot. This step is optional, but it helps keep everything stable. Repeat this at 2 other points along the facing. Et voila! Your bloom wrap blouse is now done! I hope you loved making it as much as I did. Now, don't forget to fill out your project sheet that comes with your pattern. It is a great way to track your process and celebrate what you accomplished. And remember, girlies, you're building a wardrobe you truly love, one great project at a time, and honestly, you're that girl.